All right. Hey, everybody. I'm going to pop on a little early, wait for people to find us, and all right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the chat. We're going to start here in about 9 minutes. I'm just waiting for some people to come in so we can get some conversation flowing. All right. Don't mind me, I'm going to get a little water. Hi, everybody. We're just waiting to get some people on. Welcome to the party. How's everybody doing today? See lots of you guys. Send some waves out. All right. So we're just waiting for... Hi, everybody. Just waiting for everybody to come join us. And we'll be getting started in a few minutes. There we go. And we're going to grab our other friend here. All right. All right. And hey, we got Joe.
Hey.
This is Joe from Perpetual Fallen team as well.
Howdy. Hey, Carissa. I like your polo. It's
Thanks.
great. I don't think
All
I've seen that
right.
yet.
Just waiting for HoneyLove to get in here when they're ready. Hi, Queen Bee. Southern Comb Honey's in here. We got a couple people sending highs. All right. Sorry, I'm leaning into the camera to touch things here, so hopefully it's not too much forehead cam as we go.
No, it looks great. You look great.
All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where's everybody from? I see people are coming in from all over, it looks like. All right. Let's see.
I think I was accidentally in my dog's account.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I saw.
Although I think people might prefer that.
I feel like people always prefer the pet cams.
Right.
All
There's
right.
my dog. She'll probably join.
Oh, look, we got people from Canada and
Oh,
Southern
yay.
Illinois. We have people from
Washington. I was just
England.
in Washington, like just came back from Duval. I was on a farm where I get to spend like a week, and they had hives, because they were like a professional farm, so they sold their flowers, so their beehive was really important to their business. It was cool.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, the photos you shared were amazing. You'll have to add those to your Instagram so the
Yeah,
rest of us can enjoy liking them.
yeah.
Are there a lot of beekeepers on here joining us, or just
Oh,
avid
England,
gardeners? Yeah.
Queen Bee. Okay. Well, I'm gonna assume you're texting in a lovely British accent the entire time.
They,
Canada. Chile. Oh wow, yeah. So it's winter there right now. My cousin lives in Chile.
Do you guys have any questions for us while it's just the perpetual pollen tea?
Yeah.
But we can get some just for
Eloy is on. Oh hey Eloy, he's Switzerland is now. You're represented, so
that sounds lovely, Midwest backyard. Just a gardener is not a bad thing. I mean, that's me right now at this point. Just gardening, lots and lots of flowers, planting. I've been planting some vegetables right now as well. I've got like peppers growing, like 4 different kinds of peppers, a couple different types of tomatoes going. Oh yeah, that's a good question. So I'm currently in New Jersey.
yeah, and I'm in Los Angeles.
All right.
So
Oh, there's HoneyLove. We're gonna grab
hey.
them. All right. Let's get Paul in here. Maybe we'll get started a little bit early. Hey, Paul.
Hey
Hey,
Paul,
Welcome.
how's
All
it going?
right.
how are you?
Good, good. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. I've interfaced with Paul a couple times now, and this is the first time Joe and Paul get to do this.
Yeah,
So,
it's a great shirt, Paul. That's
God, save-
awesome. Yeah, God save the Queen.
yeah,
I'm gonna. Oh man, where'd you get that? I gotta get one of those.
exactly. Don't, it's from the Sex Pistols, so don't tell them, okay?
Right. Yeah, there's a story about that. There was a bar in LA that would get raided, and if it was getting raided, they would play "God Save the Queen" right before the raid, so everybody knew what was going on.
Ah, I
So
got it.
there's history behind that song. It's great.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, amazing. So are we going to wait a little bit till we get some people coming in?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point where I just want to say hi to some of our viewers. We've got people coming in from all over the world, which is really cool. Give them, 2 more minutes, and we'll actually just kick off our questions right at the top of the hour here, like we said.
Okay.
Um, it looks like we've got some beekeepers in the group, and we have some gardeners, some avid gardeners. So it'll be a good chat. I'm very excited to see. We've got a couple more new people coming in. Hi,
Can
Urban
you,
Bee Soul.
yeah, can you see my Lego hive to my right shoulder over here?
A little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
Little.
A little. It's a little probably too far away. Well, you know what? Maybe we can do this, right? Since we're right here.
Oh, yeah. Look at that, guys.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. My little Lego hive with the doors, and you can see the inside of it. Yeah. So I have the frames taken out right now because I'm actually going to put bees in it soon. I've had bees in it before, but I had to remodify it a little bit. So we're going to go and put it back in the backyard and put more bees into it and and do that. Yeah, it's fun having a Lego hive.
Are
Yeah,
the
that's great.
frames Lego too?
No, I got wooden frames on the inside. Yeah, it's just normal, frames on the inside. But I had to rethink it because it was getting too moisture on the inside, so I had to put windows in it, and so it could breathe a little bit better.
Right.
So yeah, I want to test it again and see how it goes. Obviously it's just for a small hive. After it gets too big, I'm gonna have to move it out. But it'll be a fun thing to do, right?
Oh, you'll
Yeah,
have to
so
definitely keep us posted.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I wonder how it winters, right? Like I wonder how it deals with the heat, keeping the heat in for the
Yeah.
winter brood.
Well, I'm in California, so we don't have a winter. So
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it's funny because beekeeping in Southern California is a lot different than the East Coast for sure. So, and I'm sure
Hmm.
into that in our call today. So
Yeah, I mean, let's just kick off. I mean, the purpose of the call today is a little bit of education on the bees and a little bit to learn about what HoneyLove's mission is and what they're doing for the community at large. And help further education at this point. So, I guess we'll just kick off that question first, Paul, which is, can you please explain why HoneyLove exists and what your mission is for our audience here?
Sure. Yeah. HoneyLove was formed, oh gosh, now I think 7, 8 years ago. And we're kind of like the Lorax of the bees. The bees need a voice. And so our mission is to educate the public that bees are, one, safe, and two, that we need them, or we wouldn't exist. So I think we're more educational. We do mentor beekeepers, and so we want to educate those that want to get into urban beekeeping that, one, you can, and that it's a fun, kind of hobby to get into. And listen, the bees need, they need us. And so what we're here to do is just to help protect them. Because, you can do one of two things. You can call a beekeeper or an exterminator when you find bees. And what we try to do is, steer them to a beekeeper to save the bees. So that's what we do. We educate the public that bees are friendly and safe.
Yeah, and this is definitely needed. I mean, I've been seeing on a bunch of the Facebook groups, they're collecting swarms left and right. Is a lot of swarming happening right now in California, or not really?
Yeah, our swarm season here is, I would say March, April, May, is the kind of the height of it. Like I'm usually getting anywhere from 2-3 phone calls a day of swarms. So it's easy to become a beekeeper here because there's so many. In fact, in Los Angeles, there's between 9 and 13 per square mile. So the bees are here. We coexist with bees. So I always recommend, and specifically with HoneyLove, we only deal with feral bees, or I do at least, because, they need homes too, right? I don't have to go buy bees in a box and have them shipped to me. I can literally go out my front door and find plenty of bees to rescue out of a water meter, off of a tree, a car. I've rescued bees off of the Santa Monica Pier on a picnic table. So, bees just land where they land, and we go and grab them as quick as we can. So, bees are easy to get here in Southern California.
How did you become so passionate, and how did HoneyLove kind of come to be about beekeeping and urban beekeeping specifically?
It's funny. Rob McFarlane and Chelsea McFarlane started HoneyLove. And it's just like anyone else. The bees show up in their backyard, right? And so the bees showed up in Rob's backyard, and he didn't know what to do, and he wanted to save them. So he read all the books, he did this, he did that, and then he really wanted to do it the organic, natural way, treatment free. Like, we don't treat the bees here in Southern California. You don't need to. And so the bees that are feral here are very hardy in nature. They don't have, and we'll get into that a little bit, but we don't have the varroa mite here in Southern California. And so Rob and Chelsea, found bees in their backyard and wanted to rescue them. And then fast forward, I was working with a friend that was working with Rob and Chelsea, and I was supporting her. She was working at Whole Foods, and they were having a bee awareness week. And so I ran down there and showed my family. I said, hey, look, this is what your dad used to do, when he was a kid, because my dad's a beekeeper, right? So I'm a second generation beekeeper. And I kid you not, the next day, my son was playing in our avocado tree, looked up, and guess what he saw? An open air hive. And we said, oh my gosh. On the phone, I called my friend. He says, Paul, you got to call Rob and Chelsea. They'll help you. And so I did. I called Rob. Rob came over, and we rescued the bees in my own backyard. And I became a beekeeper all over again, because when I was a kid, I was doing it because my dad was making me do it, right? Sure. I wasn't passionate about it now. But, fast forward 30 years, I was able to rescue these bees, put them in a hive, and then, now I started reaping the benefits of having local honey, which is amazing, especially the honey here in Southern California. So that's how I got started. That's how Rob got started. That's how the foundation got started. So, And then from that, we actually legalized beekeeping in Los Angeles. So we, the city council meetings, over and over again. We filed all the petitions and did all the paperwork to, get that done. And sure enough, we legalized beekeeping for Los Angeles. And so now you can have up to 2 beehives at your residence. And we were responsible for doing that. So that's some of the other things that HoneyLove does. And we're actually working on a new apiary as well that we're working with the city as well. So we got a grant for that. So there's all kinds of neat stuff that we do.
That's fantastic. So what's the lasting impact that HoneyLove wants to make, for LA, for the world, for, what are your goals?
Well, listen, again, like our mission, just educate the public that bees are safe. If I can, drive that home over and over again, because most of the time when I get a phone call, it's really talking people off the ledge. They're freaking out. A swarm of bees showed up, and I'm like, look, calm down. These bees are super safe. In fact, when they're swarming, they're in the safest position. Yeah. In because their stomachs are full of honey. They're relocating from one, hive to a new, they're trying to find a new home, and they're sending out scouts. So they don't want to bother you. It's funny. I always tell them I can go up to a swarm and just pet the swarm. You can literally pet it
Yeah.
and hold it and jiggle it, So if I would say, if there's one thing is that, look, bees are safe and they're friendly, and you should treat them as a pet. Be nice to bees, because if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. So if I can just give that one message to everybody, it would be great. And God forbid, don't ever call an exterminator. It's just, it's funny. I almost relate it to, you see a stray dog. You don't pull out the shotgun and shoot the dog. You don't call an exterminator to kill the animal. No, you call someone that can deal with it. You call the pound or animal control. Let them come pick up that dog and rehab it, right? So it's the same thing. Let's try to, educate the public that bees are a necessity. We need them, and we shouldn't be killing them ever. So that's my 2 cents, and I'll get off my soapbox on that.
No, I agree. Right? The idea that they're a pest it's like we don't call things that are necessary to every other or every third bite of food that we eat. We don't call that pests. We call that a partner, right? We call that a keystone species.
Exactly.
When would you be like, hey, you know what I want to do is I want to kind of poison all of the earth around my house. I just want to just lay a nice amount of cyanide all over that. It's like you never do that, right? But that's what you're doing when you're eradicating these bees that are there for your flowers, that are there for all the food that we eat in Southern California. Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. So listen, it's just about education, right? So if we can educate those that don't know, and it's not that they're wanting to kill the bees. It's just that they're just not educated enough to make a good decision. So, and hopefully we can kind of steer that into the good karma area opposed to.
Yeah, I think it kind of harkens to an awakening, right? Where I think there was a time where the environment was infinite and utterly it could adapt to absolutely anything. That was our concept, right? You in the 50s, before really environmentalism came online, there was the concept that you can dump anything in the ocean, you can pump anything in the air, you can dump as many plastics wherever you want, and it's the world's so big it can handle it. And now we're realizing that's not true. That we're actually very much connected to the ecosystem. And, bees are one extremely important mechanism that once the bees go, there's great things when I go, you go.
Yeah.
That's the bees go, you go.
Exactly. And I think once once that settles with you and you really understand it's powerful, right? It's holy cow. right? If we, if 1/3 of what we eat is pollinated by these bees, and if we don't take care of them, in fact, I think what's one of the philosophers, I think it was Aristotle or one of them, the big ones, right? He said, listen, if bees were extinct, civilization as we know it within 3 months would go away. I mean, we couldn't keep up with the demand. So we need to be thankful that we have these hard little worker bees.
Yeah.
They're pollinating the food we eat, right?
Yeah.
So if we at least make that connection, that
Oh yeah.
for what you're eating, for the chocolate, for the avocados, for the almonds, for everything that we literally enjoy, then there's an aha moment for that person. If we can give aha moments every day, then I'm doing my part, right? Because I can only control my environment, I can only control my area, and I'm hopeful that within the Los Angeles area, Santa Monica, and in the surrounding areas, that I am making a huge impact. And in fact, I hope my impact is going further than that. I hope it's being reached across the U.S. and around the world. So, yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, God save the Queen.
God save the Queen. I'm definitely gonna get one of those T-shirts.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, like, so what colony collapse is something that's kind of started to come into, I'd say, like the general lexicon, but like, could you kind of explain that a little bit, and then discuss maybe like if you've seen that in in our region?
Well, again, I'm an urban beekeeper, and I think in the urban environment, they're thriving because of less pesticides. There's more to forage on, so there's no monocropping. Obviously, we're in California, which is 90% of the almonds are produced here in the world. So obviously, they rely on the bees. And so when, so the colony collapse disorder, I'm not too involved in it, but what I do know is that, a couple of factors. One, when you transport the bees, they don't like it. Two, they land into like the almonds, and it's like eating vanilla ice cream for 3 months. I'm gonna get sick. My immune system can't support 3 months of almonds. So they need, they need a variety to feed themselves, right? They need the pollen and the bee bread to feed the babies. And when they're feeding on one item, it's not helpful for them as well. And then lastly, pesticides, they're spraying them during the day. You would, common sense say, if you're going to spray at night when the bees are in bed and sleeping and they're in the hive. So yeah. So do we have an impact locally in the urban environment? Not so much, but man, agriculturally and yes, it's a big deal. And obviously we need to protect those bees as well. And in fact, it would be, and I do know some beekeepers are taking some of the feral hives that they're getting and moving them into the commercial environment, right? So, it does help. I do have a lot of bees that are given to other, growers, if you will, of fruits and vegetables. So, they definitely, it does help. So, but I haven't seen any colony collapse in the urban environment at all. If a hive goes bad here, it's typically done by ants or, just a week
Rats and,
type. Yeah. And then speaking of that is the varroa mite, right? I've actually seen a varroa mite once in the last 8 years. So it's almost remarkable in the Southern California area, and especially with the feral hives that we deal with. We don't have varroa mite. And when I tell someone like that from the East Coast, and they're like, what? You don't have the varroa mite? You don't treat your bees? And the answer is no, we don't have to. The pharaoh bees, I think, are genetically stronger than, the Italian bulk bees, or farm raised bees. Specifically, I think that if you're going to be an urban beekeeper, I think you should try to only deal with feral bees because they need homes too, right? They need a place to live, and when they land in a bad area, in a water meter at a school or somewhere, they need home. And the good thing about feral bees is they produce honey. They produce very, very well. Now, having said that, I'm going to make a disclaimer right now. Disclaimer that sometimes the feral bees and in the bee world sometimes are a little hot, and we don't use the word Africanized bees, but we do. Bees have temperaments, and you gauge it by how hot they are. And sometimes the bees get a little hot, and when they get hot, you find them a new home. Not here in the city. You can move them out to a ranch or someone that has a bigger property. So I try not to put down bees because it's just the wrong thing to do, but I'll try to find them new homes. But you come across them. Bees have temperaments, and so sometimes most of the time I'm working without gloves, because I'm used to it. But if I come across a hot hive, they'll let you know. And I don't mind working with hot bees. Sometimes it's fine, but as long as you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. Is the key. Yep. So again, never ever, and this is for all you rookie beekeepers out there, ever open your hive without using smoke. So you got to use smoke to calm them down and let them know that you're going to come into the hive. So you just can't risk it anymore. Bees are bees, and they like to protect their home just like we do. We like to protect our homes. They like to protect their homes. So always using smoke is what we preach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of many beekeepers trying to breed in a European honeybee into hotter hives so that they're kind of calming down the hive in order to keep them, right? Because they're having a hard time keeping a pretty hot hive, especially in Southern California.
Yeah.
And in areas outside of Southern California, there is I know that there's a lot of hive loss due to the Varroa destructor, and that's kind of like a major issue throughout the world. And so another area that we're really, really lucky to have in Southern California is hives that have a hygienic factor against the Varroa mite. And I mean, I'm assuming that some people have heard about the Varroa destructor, but maybe because you mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to loop back. I'm like, what is that? Why is it a big deal? Why is it not a big deal for you, right? It's it sounds like, wow, boy, did we, dodge a bullet. So what is this bullet?
Sorry. Yes. Is it just say that one more time? Repeat that.
What I basically was saying is I don't know if I think a lot of people that might be joining, even who are not professional beekeepers yet or hobbyists, might have heard about these things that you talked about, the Varroa destructor, and gosh, did we dodge that bullet here? Well, I don't know if everybody knows what that is. Do you want to give us a little lead in to what the Varroa destructor is?
Are you just talking about just the Varroa mite in general?
Yeah. What is it?
It's the Varroa mite, attaches itself to the larva, and they really disform the bees, and it will get into a hive and destroy it immediately, right?
Yeah.
And the only way to treat for it is to put chemicals inside the hive, right? But what's interesting is, do you really want to put chemicals in your hive with the honey? So it's one of those things. Okay, it's you want to keep bees, but you have these Varroa mites, so you some people have to treat for them. And like I said, the local bees, the feral bees locally, in fact, they don't have them because I think their immune systems are stronger here in Southern California. Now, could it be stronger? My family that are in Texas, I don't think they're not treating theirs, and I don't think they have it because they're dealing with feral bees. So I think in general, across the board, feral bees tend to be stronger with their immune systems and can fight off the Varroa mite. So it's really when you start getting into these, the Italian bees, and when you're buying box bees from breeders, those are the ones that you're going to have to, they're just going to not survive. And it's funny because a lot of the time I hear from other beekeepers locally, when they do buy bees and put them in their hives, they don't last long. Like they just can't support it. You know, the varroa mite will just kill them right away. And I've seen other hives here from other people when I'm inspecting them, that they've had these, mite problems. And I see they're just weak and lethargic. The bees they just seem to have a different temperament. It's really are. And so, yeah, I just feel like when you're putting chemicals in there, you're just not going to have good honey, I guess. I mean, I don't want chemicals with my honey. So
sure, right. And I think you're not allowed to do like dust, like you're not allowed to sell it, and if you're treating with certain chemicals, right? So you have to be very careful about taking the bees out, taking the honey out, kind of doing all these things that only certain times can use these pretty harsh chemicals.
Yeah. And listen, at the end of the day, my philosophy is there's no right way or wrong way of being a beekeeper. It's just your way, right? Everybody,
Sure.
Some beekeepers use foundation wax. Some people they don't. Some people treat. Some people don't.
Sure.
It depends on your philosophies and what you're wanting to do. Just it just how you want to become a beekeeper. And just my advice is just to learn everything you can, read all the books, watch all the videos, and just come up with your philosophy and how you want to become a beekeeper. And so I just like the HoneyLove approach, which is all treatment free, feral bees. We don't use foundation wax. I literally let the bees do all the work because they've been around for thousands of years and they know how to do what they need to do, right? They can fight off the little hive beetles that we get. We do have hive beetles here in Southern California, but they're not overwhelming, and they don't harm anything. And I shoo them away or kill them when I see them, but they don't really bother anyone. So let the bees be. Just let them do it. And if we can kind of take on that approach, right, in our beekeeping, right, because they know how to do it. I like to say this when people ask me, what do you need to do, how do you become an urban beekeeper? What do I need to learn? And I said, well, to be a beekeeper, the secret is managing the growth of the hive. That's all we're doing as a beekeeper. We're just making sure the bees have room to grow. And if we can just do that one thing, right, make sure they have room to grow, then you can become a beekeeper, because that's all we need to do. Because, there's some beekeepers in there, and I'm on a lot of different threads, and they're like, how often do you check on the bees? New beekeepers are checking like once a week,
Right.
Some beekeepers are checking twice a year. So, you kind of, obviously 4 to 6 weeks is a good, way to check on your bees, because you don't want them to grow so fast that they run out of room and then they swarm. So you just want to make sure that, the hive grows and is growing, right? And as long as you see that the hive is growing, it's doing good, right? Sometimes I don't even expect to see the queen. I don't even go looking for the queen. I'm just looking that the hive is growing, that there's brood. If there's brood, there's a queen, and it's expanding, I'm happy. I don't like disturbing the hive as less as possible. Less is more in beekeeping. So anyway, take that with the 2 cents, and hopefully some beekeepers will take that to heart. But yeah, the bees, they're called worker bees for a reason. They do all the work. Yep. So
I like that.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Just a couple more things here. I know we're getting close to our time. What do you recommend that average people can do to help save the bees at this point? And, what can we do to help support urban beekeepers?
Sure. Good question. I get that asked a lot, and there are a few things we can do, right? Obviously, stop using pesticides in your garden, number 1. 2, bees need water. You can leave them a water source. If you have a fountain in your backyard, throw some, wine corks in there. Give them something to land on, right? Because bees need water. And then, plant bee-friendly plants in the garden, right? Give them somewhere to, forage on, some, anything that blooming bees love. So just, think about that when you're planting some things in your garden. So those are the 3 things. And lastly, you can actually put a swarm box in your backyard and capture a swarm, attract them and put them in there. And then, I believe everyone should actually know a beekeeper in their neighborhood, right? So if you don't know a beekeeper, then get on Nextdoor, get onto, your local communities and find local beekeepers, because you should always have, a beekeeper's phone number in your Rolodex, so you can call them when you come across a swarm, right? You can call them immediately and they'll be happy to, come grab it and save them. So those are the things that you can do as just wanting to help the bees. And obviously, if you want to become a beekeeper yourself, then I highly recommend joining your local bee club. There's a lot of bee clubs out there. HoneyLove's a bee club, right? We mentor beekeepers locally here in Southern California. So if you're, in the Midwest or East Coast, find a group of beekeepers and put time in the saddle, right? That's how you have to do it. Just volunteer to spend time with the beekeeper, because beekeepers are a great resource to pay it forward, right? We love educating those that are interested in the things that we like to do, right? So if you show interest, then heck, I love having people come in and suit up with me and help mentoring them, because they need, it's helpful. It gives you, extra hands. And then before you know it, you got a whole group of like-minded individuals saving the bees. And I think that's what we need. We need to create a network of like-minded individuals, protecting the bees. And if we can do that by paying it forward, then, we're all doing our part. So, yeah, I think those are the kind of the things that you can do at home to help save the bees.
One last thing here, you definitely chimed in on like the whole community support, and what does HoneyLove have going on, and how can people get more involved with HoneyLove in general?
Sure. HoneyLove.org. They can obviously visit our website. They can join HoneyLove. They can make donations. We're working on a new facility over in the Baldwin Hills area here in kind of Culver City area, where we got a huge grant. So in the next few months, we're going to need a lot of hands and help on building that sanctuary. And that's where we're going to be doing some, now that California has opened up, we're going to start up our live classes again and doing, hands-on mentoring again. We have workshops the last Sunday of every month. So if you want to get involved locally here in Southern California and you're in the LA area, then obviously I'm going to, plug us, come join HoneyLove and become a beekeeper. And then, all you have to do is show up, and we'll be able to educate you on, saving the bees. And we have different, workshops, right? We have, building frames to building hives and, honey workshops. And we just have a lot of fun at the end of the day, because if you're not having fun, then what's the point? So, yeah.
Perfect.
Well, I might bring my Lego.
Yeah, we're going to have,
hive.
Exactly. I have the world's second Lego hive. It's funny because I created this, and listen, Legos aren't cheap and they're hard to get. And it took me a couple of months to find enough Legos to like build a hive. And there was another person that posted, I think in another country, and he goes, "This is the world's first Lego hive." And so I was like, awesome, I'm going to build one too. And I'm going to be the world's second beehive and the first one in the US. And so I did that, and I posted it on YouTube, and within 24 hours of me posting my bee video of my YouTube, I got a DM from the actual guy that created the first one. And so, because I actually said that this is the world's second, so luckily I covered my X and was able to say that, because I didn't want to take the thunder from him, because he's the world's first. So it's been really funny. We became friends online, and it was really neat. And hopefully we can, do more of this. There's also a beekeeper, Noah Wilson Rich, who's over in the East Coast. You guys know Noah?
I don't think we do.
He does a lot of bee research, and they have some hives on top of the rooftop at MIT, and so he does a lot of protecting. He's got a lot of TED Talks. So there's some really good information out there on one, saving the bees, and there's so many. How about that new girl that's in Texas?
She's
horrible.
Great.
I know, isn't she great? A YouTube sensation now, right? Working with the bees. So listen, I think she's great. I think she's doing a great job, and I think we need more people like that can really show that how bees are actually, easy to work with, right? And she's doing a good job.
Scoops them out. It's so great.
Yeah, I've done that on a rescue too. I've done a video where I just scoop them out and I'm putting them in there with my hands, So if we can do a lot of that, I think, it'll really help the public really see that these bees are, friendly. So, awesome.
Well, I'm going to quick open up.
Let me show you one other thing. Where is it? Look at those bee shoes called the Beekeeper.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's really good color.
There's Reebok made 500 bees, and and they sent me like 40 pairs. So we're going to be raffling these off to some lucky winners in the near future. So join HoneyLove, and you could be a recipient of one of these shoes. They're amazing.
Yeah, that's actually really nice.
Yeah.
Is that your logo on the lip there?
Yeah, there's bees on there, and then on the lip it says, saving the bees right here. And the shoe is called the Beekeeper.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's really cool.
Colors of the pollen, the honey, just everything about it. It was really neat. We did a promotion with them, with Reebok, and they came to me and they said, listen, if you guys can sell 500 pairs in 30 days, we're going to give you $5,000. Well, guess what? In 7 hours, we sold all 500 pair.
Oh, nice. That's so great.
Yeah, so it was really neat. So, listen, if we can get the corporate world involved, awesome. Let's do that. Bringing awareness at a corporate level is something that we can all try to do too. So, there's all these different layers and all the different media. I do a lot of interviews all the time. And so, as we can just keep getting that same message out all the time, I think we'll all be effective, just like this today. So thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Yeah.
So I just want to give the chat an opportunity to post any questions that they have for you here, Paul, before we end for today. So this is the time. Chat, feel free to submit anything. If you don't know how to do that, there's a little button on the second icon over with like a little chat window or chat symbol with like a question mark, and you can actually submit questions. So we have our first question here. It says, do you work with any celebrities?
Yes, I do. I work with Jennifer Garner, the actress. I work with Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. I work with Sophia Bush, and a handful of others. So yes, I do work with a lot of celebrities. I'm a celebrity beekeeper, I guess they say.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We have a second question here. It's coming up. It says, do you have a favorite hive that you have ever worked with?
It's funny. My original hive, the one I actually rescued in the backyard, I had it for 4 or 5 years. It lasted a long time, and that was kind of my first one, was my favorite one. Now it's funny because we rescue so many hives that we always, and the thing that I'm doing now is when we rescue a hive and we know where it is, on top of the frames, we carry a Sharpie, and we always put an initial or 2 initials on each of the frames on one end, and that identifies where those bees came from. So as they move around and we try to track them, but it gets so, it's so hard to keep track of. There's so many of them. It's funny because I'm not really a beekeeper anymore. I'm a foster parent, right? At the end of the day, I'm a foster parent for bees. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? Well, I rescue them and I foster them for a couple of weeks or a month, and I find them new homes. So my backyard always has children in it, right? These baby nukes that I'm always trying to find homes. And recently I just found a home for 3 of my hives on top of a commercial building on Main Street. And it was a jeweler called Horse and Boost. My ring right here, it's a jeweler. And his Robert Keith is the owner of Horse and Boost. And we put 3 hives on top of his roof at work. And so, and since he's a fine jeweler, we call his hives liquid gold. So, and so now he's going to incorporate the honey with the sales of his jewelry. So once we start, producing honey like this, in these amazing tubes, then, when you buy a ring, you're going to get a jar of liquid gold.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Those are the things that we're doing. We're just thinking outside of the box. How can we, find these bees homes? I'm always looking for homes, so yeah. I'm a foster parent of bees. What, do we have any more questions?
Yeah, we've got 2 more questions. So in the chat, how can we change our diet to help save the bees?
How can you change your diet?
Mm-hmm.
Well, more honey. Well, listen, here's what you can do is find your local beekeeper and buy honey from them. Buy honey from a local beekeepers. When you go to the farmers markets, you're buying honey. It's pseudo-local, meaning like it's maybe from Ventura, locally, it just depends. What I recommend is get on, the app next door because everyone's so used to it and say, hey, I'm looking for a local beekeeper in my area, in my zip code, because if you can find honey in your zip code, 1, it's going to be better for you for your allergies because it's local and it's going to give you the most benefits. And 2, you're going to be supporting your local beekeeper. So that's how you can change your diet. Buy honey from a local beekeeper. Yeah, and I've done some research lately. If you become a beekeeper, you actually live longer because you're always eating healthy, the food. Just being a beekeeper, that's what, listen, I don't know if there's, a direct correlation to that, but, you're less prone to a lot of other diseases. So, we're going to hope that's a truth. And I'm always going to be a beekeeper so I can live a long life.
All right. So we have another one, which is how much space do you need to keep bees? Because you're saying you always have some hives out back.
Yeah, listen, you don't need a lot of room. The requirements in Los Angeles is 5 feet away from your neighbor's property line, facing away. You need a water source. And then I have kids, right? I have a dog. And the bees are in the back of the property, and they never really bother anyone. You definitely need some space in front of the hive because, the old adage, a beeline drive, well, that's where it comes from, a beeline drive. They come in like, like on an aircraft carrier. They come right into that front door. And if you're standing in front of your hive, you're going to get hit in the back of the head. So you need room for them to, 1, fly in. And you need room between the boxes, maybe 2 feet between boxes. I have boxes 5, 6, 7 across, and they're all 2 feet apart. And the bees know where to go, so you don't really have to worry about them finding their home as long as they're maybe a few feet apart is fine. So you can have bees in your backyard easy. It's not a problem.
Okay, and it looks like we have one more question, which is what challenges have you faced in your work during COVID-19?
It's funny. My beekeeping business picked up a lot. I mean, a lot of people were at home and they wanted to have bees. And so it actually gave me more time to spend on beekeeping. It actually did. I actually was able to do more during COVID and go see the bees more often. And I think more people got into beekeeping during that time. In fact, it's hard. There's a shortage of lumber, so you can't even boxes right now. You can't even buy bee suits right now. They're all on back order, so everybody's going bonkers buying up everything right now. So, it's easy to become a beekeeper, but it's hard to actually get all the equipment right now. So like my local bee supply store in Los Angeles, they don't have any hives. So I couldn't even place an order. So I had to get on an order from like some of the bigger manufacturers to get some hives shipped to me. So Yeah, there's a shortage of bee equipment during COVID, which is interesting. I think that's kind of in all areas of life right now. Everybody's
Yeah.
running out of everything. So
Right. Like it's like all the pent up demand the last, 18 months is now. We
yeah,
want it all. Right.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, which is a good thing, right? We want people out there doing it, right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, if you want to become a beekeeper, join your local bee club. That's the best advice I can do. Surround yourself with others that are doing what you want to do, and you'll become really good at it relatively quickly. As Chelsea McFarland at HoneyLove used to say, beekeeping is not like having a goldfish.
Yeah. We have one more question that just popped in here. They said they didn't realize that you were so local. Says Piersco is another local supplier in Riverside, California, and they asked if you were in LA.
Oh, I'm in LA, yes. That's great. I didn't know there was a supplier out there in Riverside. It's a little far from me, but listen, if they have a lot of stuff, I need it, and a lot of my beekeeper friends are always looking for equipment. So thank you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Awesome.
Well, I think that's all the questions we currently have. So thank you so much. We ran over time a little bit, but I think this was a great chat. We really value your time. And we look forward to working with you in the future.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Awesome.
Yeah, Paul, thanks so much. Really great chat.
And as we say at HoneyLove, yay bees!
Yay bees. Baby queen. I love that.
I know. My license plate on my car is yay bees.
Yay bee. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So awesome. All right, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Take
everyone.
care. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.